Orcas, desert islands, and ourselves, what do they all have in common? So once upon a time, there was a boy that was filming a whale, and he thought the whale was going to eat him, but that didn't stop him, though. He just got more curious about what that whale could be thinking. And my name is Ricardo. I'm a storyteller, underwater cinematographer, and explorer. And I'm not a marine biologist. I'm not a cave diver or a wreck diver. I just do most of my stuff freediving. And I've always been curious to explore how stories shape the way we look at the world and the way we look at ourselves. And picking up on what Gareth said, how can we look at the hero or the villain in our lives and in ourselves? This was not supposed to be my story. I've come from a normal family that loves 9-to-5 jobs. This is not the lifestyle. We're used to it. And I never imagined myself when I was younger like photographing or filming like a coral reef like this one. Actually, this was my reality. I was studying to be a mechanical engineer. I was doing my master's in mechanical engineering, and on the first year of college, that's when I found photography. I was a water photographer trying to, as a hobby, and I spent all my free time photographing my friends when they were surfing. And all I could hear from my family was, photography is not a real job. Engineering is what you should do. Photography is a precarious job. And curious thing about the word precarious, it's an adjective. It means not securely held or in position, dangerously likely to fall or collapse, and dependent on chance and uncertain. And the truth is, I think diving, all the diving that we do and free diving is dependent on chance and it's uncertain. That's why we love it so much. We never know if we're going to have bad visibility or good visibility. We never know if we're going to find one animal or 4, in this case, sleeping. We never know if we're going to be shooting a small animal or one of the biggest ones. We never know if we're going to have an interaction with the animal or if they're going to pose for our photos. And one of the questions that I get sometimes, including this morning, is how do I get to do what you do? How do you guys, mostly here, get to become what you are? And the thing is, I was studying mechanical engineering. I was supposed to be an engineer. And if I can explain really fast how I got here, started taking photos in the water, broke my wrist, skateboarding, couldn't take photos, so started videoing. Never stopped doing video, but there was a problem at some time because I was shooting video and studying at the same time. So I had to make a decision, and there's a saying that I love by Tony Robbins. He says, if you want to conquer the island, burn the boats. So I was in the 4th year of my master's, and I decided to quit, which my family didn't enjoy, of course. Decided to quit to become a filmmaker and a storyteller. And because I think if you have a plan B, the plan A is probably not going to work. So I decided to eliminate my plan B, which was mechanical engineering, and just, learn how to swim, jumping to the deep side of the pool, I guess. I started working as a filmmaker.
New Lexus NX. Feel more.
And getting a little bit recognition here and there and doing jobs that I really enjoyed. But the thing is, I was working and I had to constantly remind myself that the goal is not doing it for the money. Like, we are not doing it for the money. That's not why we're here. The goal is to experience stuff like this. This moment was actually in August this year, end of August, and I think it was one of the best interactions I ever had. They just stayed around the board for 20 minutes and they wouldn't leave, and then they would look at you like this for minutes on end until they, I don't know, eventually got tired and stopped doing it. But yeah, if you were thinking about the money, these kind of things are never going to happen, because you need to go out there and spend months and months and months trying to make something like this happen. And I bet most of the stories that we heard here, they came out of a passion for free diving and scuba diving. It didn't come because you wanted a job doing it. You just find something that makes you money, find something you love, and the goal is to continuously try to close the gap, I guess. And if we're lucky, we do manage to do it. I got comfortable being close to big marine mammals and shooting them. And I realized that animals have stories too. It's not just us. They have stories. So that's how I tried to tell their stories through our eyes, because we cannot talk for animals, but we can try to tell them through the eyes of humans. And I'm not sure if you ever saw that video. That's in the Strait of Gibraltar. Those people in the catamaran. They are actually shooting firearms against orcas and throwing explosives in the water to try and, well, make the orcas go away from their boat. Since 2020, close to 600 boats have been damaged and had their rudders broken by orcas in the Strait of Gibraltar and all across the coast of Portugal. The guys in the Navy know too well about the situation. And I came across WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups of people actually discussing the best way to hurt or kill an orca using firearms, explosives, fire, acid, whatever. So we decided to go there, ask for a permit from the government to actually be able to go in the water and film these animals and try to tell the story through the eyes of the people that have been interacting with these orcas for a while, like mainly the fishermen. Like, these interactions didn't start in 2020, they started 200, 500 years ago, because the orcas have been there since the Phoenicians, and, well, that we know of course. And because my experience with these animals is this one, not the killer whales that we also so commonly see and that they are portrayed as. And the thing is, how do you tell this story? How do you make people relate to them? Because no one's going to read, let's face it, no one's going to read a scientific article, because no one has, well, the patience to. Some people do, but so my way of trying to do it, since I'm not a marine biologist, is try to tell the story. Try to tell the story through other people's eyes, through the experience that we have, through the team that's there studying them. And the truth is, these orcas, they found a new way of fishing in the past years. We've been talking to the fishermen, and there's never been so much tuna in the Strait of Gibraltar as there is now in the last 15 years, because the quotas are working for the almadrabas. So the quotas are making an impact, and there's more fish. The Moroccan fishing boats, where they fish with the tuna with a hand line, they are catching bigger tuna. Like, we're talking 50, 70, 100 kilos tuna, and the orcas started to steal the tuna from the lines. And usually they have to chase the tuna. They chase the tunas between 8 and 15 kilos, and now they are stealing, and they have to chase them for 30 minutes till they get exhausted, and then they eat them. The thing is, now they're taking 3 minutes to catch maybe a 100, 150 kilo tuna from a handline. This happens, and they have free time because they're full, they eat faster. And those two families that started doing that were the first two families starting interacting with the sailboats, which is really interesting and kind of reshapes the story of killer whale wanting to kill all the humans and destroying the boats to maybe it's just kids messing up. What happens if we locked 15 kids, 10 years old in this room for 5 hours? Maybe half of the stuff would be destroyed. And yeah, so why are images important for science and conservation? We are visual creatures. We have always been. The human brain processes images 60,000 times faster than words. And together with the help of the Mercury Foundation, we were glad to be there last August and this August documenting the orcas, and working on a documentary, but also working on school presentations to do for kids between the ages of 5 and 10, because documentary has a short-term impact mission, and the schools with the kids, we're trying to prepare the next generation that's coming in 5, 10, 15, 25 years. They are gonna be the ones defending the ocean, not us. And we actually took the Explorers Club flag to this expedition. Our latest expedition, this is a different one, which I just came back from it 5 days ago. This is an archipelago in Saint-Brandon. It's 450 kilometers, it's far from everything. The closest civilization is 450 kilometers away, and the islands look absolutely gorgeous. Imagine the Maldives and the Seychelles 200 years ago, white sand, no resorts, no nothing. The only way you can get there is by boat. Took us 28 hours to get there, rough, on a fishing boat. Fishing boats are a good way to get to places. And what if I tell you that these islands, there's a fishing company that owns the exclusive rights to fish these islands in perpetuity? You're probably thinking, why? Like, it's such a pristine place, why are they fishing this place? The thing is, the government actually wants to build hotels and resorts on these islands, and the only thing keeping the islands from being built and destroyed like the Seychelles and the Maldives is the fishing company that's still fishing there. It's a contract that's been up since 1901. They have a permanent lease, and they have to pay 1 rupee a year, and all the fish that they catch needs to be sold back in the mainland, and that gives them the permanent lease to occupy these islands. And the thing is, the company has a loss every year. Every year they need to put money into the company so they can keep fishing, and the government doesn't build anything there. So by fishing a place, it's the only way to protect it. And they've done some amazing new resolutions. For example, they used to catch bait fish in the lagoons that we see like there. It's huge lagoons. They used to use nets to catch the bait fish. The new owner said, if you want to take bait fish, they buy it in the capital. They take it 450 kilometers to the islands, because now they're not allowed to use any nets anywhere, and they can only fish outside of the reef. So it's amazing because it's a company that's actually keeping the government from destroying one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And that's the thing. I think the hope is that in the next 2 years we make this hope spot, and the next 5 it becomes a UNESCO protected site, so we don't have to depend on a fishing company to defend an island like this. And I think I see it as one of the last hopes, because there's not a lot of places like this in the Indian Ocean. And my production company, one of the things that we focus on is telling stories like this one, to raise awareness to the population, and so people can understand that these places exist, they need protecting. And it's unbelievable because you can see the birds. The birds are flying like at arm's length. They look at you like, what are you doing here? Like, you're not supposed to be here. Some of these islands, they don't have an access through land. You have to Like, you have to stop the boat and swim and see what's there. There's close to 1 million species, 1 million birds on this island. 3% of all the birds in the Indian Ocean live here. And it's an amazing place, but you do see the signs of humans far away, because there's trash coming onto the sand every single day, and there's no permanent people living on the island. There's only volunteers and fishermen that go there, the fishermen that need to fish it in order to protect the place. So this is one of the things that we're doing, is trying to raise awareness and we are creating a documentary. This is a little part, a little piece of the documentary that we're creating, because I do believe that this is the only way to reach more people. Because if we just do the normal communication, if we don't get people to feel something, they will never act, they will never try to make a difference. And places like this do exist, and they are amazing. Like Jacques Cousteau said, people protect what they love what they understand, and they understand what they're taught. So by telling the stories of the people that are there, we can make people relate to those stories and then understand the world around them. And I understood since I started working that my goal is to make people feel something and try to connect with nature. That's one of the reasons why I recently became an ambassador to one of the dolphin watching companies here, because people don't realize that we have nature everywhere. We don't need to go to a desert island to experience nature. It's not exclusive. Like 10 minutes away, like that direction, you have a canyon, an underwater canyon with dolphins and fin whales. It's available for everyone to see and everyone to relate to those animals. And we also like to take people experiencing different animals around the world, and we don't encourage people touching lemurs, but lemurs do jump on you. If you go to Madagascar, they will jump on you, so just bear that in mind. And I mean, who can, like, that's the thing, when you're underwater and you see an animal, it's a full body experience. You see them, you feel the clicking, and I don't know, I think when people experience it, they change. And I've changed being underwater. I've changed the way I am, I've changed the way I see the world, and I would love for everyone to feel the same way, because it's such a, yeah, it's something that I haven't felt anywhere else. And I think it's also important for us to look at ourselves and rewrite the story that other people wrote for us, because it's easy. My family wrote the story that I should be an engineer, and I've been told all my life that I was supposed to be one, because photography is not good for you, because it's hard, because it's not a real job. And what do we have in common with these desert islands and the orcas? The thing is, we all have a story that we tell ourselves. Sometimes we make ourselves the hero, but most of the times we make ourselves the villain. How many of you have thought before doing something new or doing something? I feel it all the time. Like, I've been in the water a lot of times, and when I show this, when I'm here, when I'm there waiting to leave the presentation, how many of us don't think that we're not worth it, or that we're not good enough, or that nobody's really gonna care? We keep telling this stuff to ourselves over and over, and we make ourselves the villain when we should be our own best cheerleaders. And the thing is, nowadays it's so easy to just fall into that trap of thinking, yeah, I'm not sure, and that keeps us from doing the things that we love. Like, if I was afraid when I quit college, but then it's like, oh, well, what's the worst that could happen, right? Like, worst case scenario, I go back to the same place where I am now, and best case scenario, I'm here. And because the thing is, our brain doesn't know the difference between real and fake. When we tell something to our brain, he believes it as true. So the story we tell ourselves is actually the most important of them all. We can tell stories to save the ocean, to save the planet, to save diving, to save everything, but the stories that we tell ourselves are going to make all the difference, because in this day and age, like, mental health is such a strong topic, and it's such a difficult topic, and there's so many people struggling with it. that I think that if we change the story that we tell ourselves, that might be just the most important story that we can ever tell anyone. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Ricardo.